Hey guys, it is Dani'i and welcome to this update video on the tropics. And so in this video we're going to be talking about our three tropical cyclones here, Fred, Grace, and Tropical Depression 8 expected to become Tropical Storm Henri. So Grace has now prompted a Tropical Storm Watch in Jamaica. So we're going to be talking about all of these new changes and the latest on these systems. And so before I go into details, okay, and let us kickstart things with our new Tropical Depression 8. So let's look at the satellite imagery of it right now. So we're seeing here that it is not looking the very best in terms of its organization, but it is getting there. It is located to the southeast of Bermuda, and Bermuda is under a tropical storm watch, as those conditions will be possible as our tropical cyclone is going to be lingering around. And so let us go on to see the cone forecast from the National Hurricane Center. And so we're seeing here that there we have Bermuda being highlighted in yellow. A tropical storm watch is in effect. So heavy rainfall, gusty winds, those are the main conditions that are likely to be felt in Bermuda as the system is going to be making its way around. So it's really going to be curving through most of this week, curving in the vicinity of the northwestern Atlantic around Bermuda right there, and it is going to be strengthened a bit while it is at it. But as of right now, it is not expected to become a hurricane, and it is not likely to threaten the U.S. at all. So it is moving to the south right now at 9 miles per hour. So it is going to be making that westward turn and then moving up to the north, and eventually move up to the northeast and dissipate. So it is not likely for the system here to get very strong, but I would say hurricane is possible, but not when it is going to be moving to the north, because it will be accelerating into cooler waters, and tropical cyclones need warm ocean waters in order to intensify. And so now let's go on to Tropical Storm Fred. So here we have Fred on satellite, and it is looking quite strong, quite compact, and it is approaching the Gulf Coast of the U.S. So sections of Florida, especially the southern portion of the Florida Panhandle, those areas are probably feeling some very dangerous impacts from the system right now. So whenever you see those darker reds going to that black, that is when we have a lot of deep convection there. Those are areas where you find most of the rainfall in a tropical cyclone. So we have that starting to approach the coast of the Florida Panhandle. And so guys, please ensure that you're in a safe location, ensure that you're not in somewhere that is flood prone. And at this point, the wind is not much of the concern, but it is the rainfall, because the system is moving quite slow. Let's go on to the National Hurricane Center's cone forecast. And so here we have it. So Fred has sustained winds of 50 miles per hour, and it is accelerating to the north at 9 miles per hour. So expect it to remain a tropical storm, but once it moves inland, we're expecting gradual weakening of the system, and then it is forecast to become post-tropical by Wednesday afternoon somewhere over the most easterly side of Tennessee. But regardless of its weakening, it could still be bringing all that moisture into portions of the southeastern U.S., resulting in some potential heavy rainfall, which could trigger flooding. But the most devastating of these impacts will be felt along the Florida Panhandle, where we have imminent landfall anticipated. And so now let us move on to Grace. So Grace is a tropical depression at this time in the Caribbean. Of course, it was a tropical storm, but it has weakened, and as you're seeing on satellite here, Grace is very disorganized as well. So that shower and thunderstorm activity is quite widespread across sections of Hispaniola and Puerto Rico. And so now let us go on to the cone forecast for it. So here we have all of Hispaniola being under a tropical storm watch, and we have Jamaica now joining in. So prior to now, the system was expected to pass well north of Jamaica, but gradually that track has been shifting more south. So even potential landfall, I would say, is becoming more and more likely. And of course, you're seeing here that by Tuesday, when the system is expected to be just north of Jamaica, it is going to re-intensify into a tropical storm. So despite it most likely being a depression at the time when it's going to be in the vicinity of the island, it is still going to be bringing some dangerous impacts. So don't let the intensity make you not take the system seriously, because it takes less than a tropical storm to cause some significant damage. So we've seen even very weak tropical cyclones cause significant flooding in areas, guys. So please do not underestimate the Grace because of its intensity based on the wind. It is really the rainfall that is going to be the main issue with the system, or any tropical cyclone really. So Jamaica, My fellow Jamaicans, please ensure that you have preparations going. This is quite new, quite imminent. It's not like we've been having this warning for a few days, but the track has been shifting more south. So please ensure that you're in a safe location, and hopefully things will go quite well with the system and impacts won't be too disastrous. But afterwards, the system is expected to make its way across the northwestern Caribbean and then move just near the Yucatan Peninsula. Wouldn't be surprised if it even manages to make landfall, and is going to be moving into the Gulf of Mexico afterwards. So this is where we could see some intensification taking place, and the system is also anticipated to be moving faster. So that would be what is really going to be holding the system back from being something very disastrous, because once it is moving very fast, it is not really going to be getting all of that moisture, getting or intensifying very much because of its fast motion. Whereas if it was moving quite slow, I wouldn't even be surprised if the system manages to become a hurricane. But as of right now, Grace is not expected to be a hurricane, but again, it is not impossible. This is the Gulf of Mexico we're talking about, where we see a lot of intensification, especially around this time of the year as we approach the peak of the hurricane season. So if you're in Mexico, you're likely to be impacted by the system this weekend. And again, if you're in Jamaica, you're under a tropical storm watch, as well as for all of Hispaniola, guys. So heavy rainfall is definitely anticipated from Grace. Please take necessary precautions and stay safe, guys. And again, the track is shifting more south with each advisory, so I wouldn't be surprised if later today landfall is anticipated in Jamaica. But let us just hope for the best, as Grace is going to be making its way by. And so looking at the ocean temperature map, we see here that we have ocean temperatures, especially in the Gulf of Mexico, being very, very warm, very conducive to support intensification of Grace, and also in the Caribbean. So we're going to be having it intensifying a bit in the Caribbean, but most of that will be taking place in the Gulf of Mexico. And this is why I say I wouldn't be surprised if Grace achieves hurricane status, because it's going to be in those very favorable conditions. But it's really because of its fast forward motion that is anticipated why it could not become a hurricane, but again, it is not impossible. And so again, we have our tropical storm Fred, which is located in the Gulf of Mexico, about to move inland later today. We have tropical storm Grace, which is affecting islands of the Greater Antilles. And then we have our tropical depression 8, expected to become tropical storm Henri later today, and a tropical storm watch is in effect for Bermuda. And so guys, that is it for this updated video, and if you found it to be quite informative, please give a thumbs up, and you can also share your thoughts with me in the comments or ask a question. I'll try to respond as best and as soon as I can. Just remember to always be weatherwise, and I will keep you updated as time goes by.